We don't do. We don't work on it as consciously. Here, how is my behavior? How are my thoughts? All these. As we work on purification on this, we get to the higher knowledge. The lower knowledge is preoccupied with appearances and working. It is the first necessity of higher knowledge to get away from them to the reality of which they are appearances and the being and power of conscious existence. So what we need to do, Sri Aurobindo says, is three things: purification, concentration, and identification. I just gave you a glimpse of the purification part. Once I sent a small message of the mother on thoughts, on how to observe thoughts, what to do with thoughts. I just sent it to a friend of mine, not a follower of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, but spiritually inclined. Small 5 lines. She saw this and she said, "My God, we have to do so much." Very intelligent lady, very capable lady, successful, career, everything is there, but intellectual, you have to do so much. I said, yes, spirituality means at least 5 lines you should do, no? This is very difficult, Srinivas ji. I said, yes, but that is spiritual part. You have to be mindful of thoughts. An average man goes through 70,000 thoughts per day. Probably 69,000 unfiltered. Start purification of the mind, start purification of emotions. What does an average person do? Justification of the thoughts, justification of the emotions. We have to do exactly the opposite. No justification. There is no place to hide for a spiritual seeker. So that gives you an idea at a high level. There are 2 terms, Jnana Yoga and Advaita Vedanta. They both are very closely linked. And now we are shifting gears. Advaita Vedanta is the philosophical system that provides the principles and intellectual frameworks for the path of Jnana Yoga. Okay? Advaita Vedanta is the blueprint. Jnana Yoga is the implementation guideline. Advaita Vedanta provides the core principles and metaphysical truths, while Jnana Yoga offers practices to realize those truths. Clear? No confusion? Yoga is what you actually do. Advaita Vedanta is the philosophy that guides it. And now I'm shifting gears into the frameworks of Advaita Vedanta. Once somebody in the ashram wrote to Sri Aurobindo in a cavalier way, because Sri Aurobindo has said, where all other yogas end, my yoga begins. So here was a highly competitive alpha male sadhak. He said, I have come to Sri Aurobindo ashram. That means I've already finished all the other yogas. I am here for integral yoga. So he wrote something silly to that effect, and Sri Aurobindo corrected him. He said, do you mean to say all those paths are easy? He actually scolded him. This is one of the pitfalls that many of us fall when we come to Sri Aurobindo. Oh, I have read Life Divine, 1100 pages. I have read Synthesis of Yoga. I have read Savitri, 4 volumes of letters on yoga. I am done. All the old paths are gone. No. Please understand that there is close to 2,000 years of literature associated with the traditional paths. 2,000 years. How many people have written how much with how much insight? Just imagine. There's a tremendous amount of literature available there. And in Sri Aurobindo says, integral yoga follows the method of Vedanta for the aim of Tantra. Method of Vedanta. All that we're going to discuss today of Vedanta is relevant to the path of integral yoga. So let us not say that, oh, this is all Pachantakai Pachadi, old stuff. Doesn't belong to us. No, every one of these will be relevant to us. So, while I did mention to you that one session of Jnana Yoga already has broken up into 2, if I don't keep track of time, the 2 will become 3. So I will try to keep going in and keep stepping back, keep going in and keep stepping back. If you have interest in these terms, I will send you the entire list. Please do your R&D. Otherwise it will go on. Archana will complain, we give this man 1 month, he always takes 3 months. It already happened with the book, The Mother. So we shouldn't do that, Adi Shankaracharya, the greatest Advaitin. There was fortunately with these great sayings, there were absolutely people like me who were pulling them down to reality. So somebody went and told him, you have written so much, you have written so many books. First of all, he must have said, I don't understand your Sanskrit, because even those who know Sanskrit can't follow Adi Shankaracharya. You already, the way we talk about Sri Aurobindo, they talked about Adi Shankaracharya. Can you simplify it a little bit? So then, he said, okay, the essence of everything I have taught, I will tell you in one shloka. Ardha shlokena pravakshami yaduktim grandha koti bihi. I may or may not pronounce everything. All those grandhas, I will give it to you in half shloka. Brahma satyam jagan mithya jivo brahmaiva naparaha. He simplified everything into half a shloka. Brahma satyam jagan mithya jivo brahmaiva naparaha. Every one of us has heard this. This shloka in a way captures, it addresses one of the fundamental philosophical frameworks that any philosophy should address. Right from the pre-Greek times, any philosophy is expected to address three elements in a non-contradictory way. Three elements: God, man, and world. When you say you're a philosopher, they'll say, okay, please explain the interdependence between God and man and world, world and God. Please explain all this. And then you have to come up with a logical explanation. Now look at this shloka. Brahma Satyam, God, Brahman, addressed. World, Jagat, Mithya. 2 out of 3. The world is Mithya. And we'll come to Mithya a little bit later. Many people think it's illusion, but it's not. Shankara did not say it was an illusion. Brahma Satyam, God is addressed. Jagat Mithya, addressed. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Jiva and Brahman are the same. They are not separate. Na Aparaha. So he has brought all the three together into a logical explanation. So now we will start the detailing process. Jiva, also referred to as Atman. Because this class is on Jnana Yoga, on the intellect. Today's session is an intellectual gymnasium. It will be dry, it won't have the bhava of bhakti. It will be concept after concept after concept, and hopefully we'll reach the end. But each principle is important to understand. It may get a little boring, or the intellect may get a little tiring, and if you sleep, don't snore and disturb the others. That is the only thing I will ask of you. Atman, self, jiva. It is pure consciousness, the innermost self. Sri Aurobindo's words in many of these I have taken and added here. The first realization of the self is the sense of infinite existence. Silent, immobile, immutable, self-existent, self-content, not affected by any action or experience. The Atman is the silent witness. It is not affected by birth, growth, death, not bound by body, life, or mind. భగవద్గీతలో అంటారు కదా, ఆత్మ పడపలేదు కాల్చలేరు ఇలా ఆయన చెప్పుకుంటూ పోతాడు. ఎగ్జాక్ట్ శ్లోకం ఐ డోంట్ రిమెంబర్ ద ఎగ్జాక్ట్ శ్లోక, బట్ బేసికలీ ద అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ ఆఫ్ ఆత్మ. You can't split it asunder, you can't light fire to it, you can't make it wet. All of those things he's talking about here. The Atman or self is the unchanging experience, one in all, supporting the play of the personality and nature, but not involved in it. Because we are creatures of senses, we all have a conception of Atman. Particularly those of us who are above 50, we have everything we want to see in a form. That is our problem. So what is the form we think of an Atman? In all those black and white movies, when the saint dies, a little light goes and goes there. So my Atman is about this size, it is a flame and all of this. It may be so in a vision, but that is not necessarily the definition of Atman. Atman is Nirakara. Stop bringing everything to Sakara. Stop bringing everything to form. We talked about the divine being, peace, power, light, Ananda. That awareness that is suffused with peace, light, power, Ananda, that is Atman. Atman is awareness. Atman is consciousness. Don't try to look for a light with a torchlight. It doesn't work. That's another problem, subject-object equation. That is another framework that comes here in C. So, when you are peaceful, you are one step closer to your Atman. It's as simple as that. Stop looking for it. It is you. It is not something else that you will be finding outside. This is one of the things about subject-object equation. We as beings of senses, we keep looking. When I look at the mic, I am the subject, this is the object. When I look at the tab, this is the object, I am the subject. I am looking. Atman is not found like that. Atman cannot be seen because that which is seeing is the Atman. That which is perceiving is the Atman. Another example. We see the world through our eyes. No disputes. Some of you have heard this earlier, right? Now I see the microphone, I see the tap through my eyes. Very good. This is the subject, the eye, these are the objects, I is the subject. No problem. This is seen, this is the seer. Yes? No confusion? Well, tomorrow let us say I have a dust particle that falls in the eye. Okay? I know the dust particle has fallen and it's irritating my eye. So what is the object here? Who is perceiving and who is perceived? Mic perceived. I perceiver. I is irritated. Is I perceived or perceiver? Perceived, right? Because it is irritated, it is the object. Who is the perceiver?
Mind.
The mind is the perceiver because I know through my awareness that there is a problem with this. Yes? So my thoughts come, my thoughts go, oh, something has fallen in and I have to rub my eye, I may have to wash it. These are all the thoughts. These are the witness. This is the perceived, the I. Right? Now you sit down for meditation. Another example. Oh, I am having too many thoughts today. All of us have felt it. When you sit for meditation, what is the first thing? Thoughts. Yes? Yes or no? Now, you are perceiving the thoughts. The thoughts are the object. Who is the perceiver? Who is the perceiver if your mind is active? Because your thoughts are not telling you that your thoughts are too many, because that will be one more thought too many. Yes? That awareness is your consciousness. The irony of it is, just think about this example a little bit, it's taking time, but it is like this. We see the entire world through the eyes, but have I seen my eyes? Have I ever seen my eyes? No. You may have seen the reflection of my eye in the mirror, but I haven't seen the eye. But with the eye, I have seen the whole world. The same thing happens with awareness. As you go step back, step back, step back, that which knows is the self. That is the Atman. It's not something you can find separately. It is you. And you are shifting into that and you are coming out of it without knowing it is you. So that is Atman. Try to keep working on it in the meditation state. It will come. It is not very difficult, to be honest with you. At least getting there is not very difficult. You will come out of it very fast because of thoughts. But being that awareness is not very difficult. Brahman. So this is the first definition that we have come across out of 19 or so today. So we'll see how many we'll cover. And this is Atman. It is the silent witness, not involved in anything. Then comes the Brahman, the absolute reality. Brahman is not only the still and ineffable, but also the active and expressive. Not only the pure existence, consciousness, and bliss, but also the cosmic energy, Maya, Prakriti, and Shakti. Brahman is the eternal, the infinite, the ineffable source, the support of all this. Somewhere along the way, there is a awareness that is wider than the widest that we can perceive of. That is what is being given as Brahman. And somewhere something in us is seeking it. I'll give you an example of why somewhere each of us is seeking it, and it's very tangible. When we are all very happy when we just stand in front of an ocean, stand in front of the night sky, just see the night. What is it that draws us there? It is that hidden sense of seeking for infinity that breaks all barriers and expands us. Something in us expands along with the horizon. Something in us becomes one. There is that seeking in each of us, every one of us, to go from this finite to the infinite, to this time-bound entity to the timeless entity. Something that expands beyond space, something that expands beyond time. All of us have that seeking. We just don't recognize it. Brahman is at once the personal and the impersonal, the finite in appearance and the infinite in essence, the one without the second, yet the one who is in all. See, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. The one who is in all. It is the same one that is in everyone. So these are some heavy definitions that are there. There are a couple of examples that are given in the Vedantic parlance. You know most of these, but I will still have to say this to contextualize it. Let us say there is this glass without water. This glass has some water and some space inside it, yes or no? No doubt. If I drink all the water, there is only space. The same example was given with pot earlier, Ghata Akasha. They say there is a space inside the pot. What happens to the space when the pot is broken? There is space outside, there is space inside. Both the space are the same. Yes or no? It is not that this space will then decide, okay, now my pot is broken, so I will merge with the space outside. Will it make any conscious choice? No. It is simply there. Same thing happens with us. The Atman inside and the Brahman outside are the same. When the body drops, nothing changes. As long as I grow towards realization, I merge with the Brahman effortlessly because I am the Brahman. In Ashtavakra Gita, there is a famous line. Deha abhimana pasena. You are bound with your body consciousness. Drop it, everything else will be fine. Another stunning line that is there in Ashtavakra Gita. He says, your only limitation is that you are meditating. Can you imagine the contradiction? Here we are all trying to meditate. He says, your only limitation is you are trying to meditate. Why are you trying to meditate when you are already the Atman? What are you meditating upon? Just drop the pot. The consciousness is one anyway. So these are some of the examples that they give. Sri Aurobindo narrating here about 3 Englishmen who attended a lecture on Brahman. One day I gave them a lecture on Brahman, Sri Aurobindo recounted. He explained to them that Brahman is everywhere and in everything. A few days later, one of the Englishmen, who was a scientist, saw a goat eating his precious garden plants. He ran out, picked up a stick and was about to beat the goat. Just then, the 2 other friends who attended the lecture saw him. What are you doing? Don't you know that the goat is also Brahman? The scientist disciple looked at his stick and replied, "But you know the stick is also Brahman." So, somewhere there are, in fact, once the disciple asked how Brahman could be present in everything, including a tiny fly. Sri Aurobindo listened patiently to him and then said with a wry smile, "Yes, it is true. The Brahman is not only in the fly, but also in the slipper you used to kill it." So, there is a beautiful poem of Sri Aurobindo where he looks at a cat and says, "The fur-footed Brahman." It's very cute how he refers to all of this. Then there is the Sachidananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. The world is a masked form of Sachidananda. The original substance of the spirit is the pure existence, carrying in it self-existent consciousness force and pure self-existent Ananda. In Life Divine, Sri Aurobindo says that actually speaking, we are all, even in our normal state of consciousness, enjoying the bliss and Ananda. But we are all too addicted or perhaps insensitive to it that we have forgotten what it is. I'm paraphrasing him. He says the sum of Ananda in this world, the sum of joy each of us experiences is greater than the sum of suffering. And that is why we choose to live. No matter how many difficulties, the spirit of the human triumphs. Why? Because that inherent joy of existence is in each of us. The only problem is, just as a drug addict needs a higher and higher dosage every day, we also need greater and greater Ananda every day. We want stimulation of senses and perceive that to be joy. Whereas the truth of the matter is simply if you close your eyes and sit and enjoy the bliss of existence, you are experiencing the Ananda of Sachidananda. That's how profound it is. Another concept that comes in Jnana Yoga is avidya. Because how did Sachidananda become this poor fellow? That is the question. Then the explanation is somewhere there is a layer of avidya. Most people explain, the traditional path at least explains avidya as ignorance. Sri Aurobindo does not do so. Avidya is not absence of knowledge, but a limiting of knowledge and consciousness, a division and a separation where there is originally only oneness. Avidya is the effective principle of the cosmic play. It is that by which one becomes many. The infinite becomes the finite. The eternal accepts the rhythm of time. Recently, Manoj Bhai and I were in a talk where somebody asked this question: what is the difference between avidya and ajnana? Avidya at the cosmic level becomes ajnana at the individual principle, at the individual level. What I experience is ajnana, which has its roots in avidya. Avidya does not create false existence. It creates a true experience, but founded on a partial knowledge of existence. These are all some of the basic terms that come in Jnana Yoga. So I'm just introducing all of them to you one after the other, one after the other. Maya. For Sri Aurobindo, Maya isn't illusion of a single all-powerful creator, but the power of the divine itself. He rejects the notion that world is a complete illusion. Instead, he views Maya as the divine power of consciousness that measures, shapes, and manifests the infinite realities of Brahman in a finite world. It is a creative power. Mithya. So basically, Sri Aurobindo does not subscribe to some of the traditional definitions of Maya as illusion, or the other definition of sin. Even sin he does not. He says it's partial knowledge, it's not modification or deformation of virtue. Mithya. Mithya is an interesting term. When somebody asked for a definition of mithya in the traditional Vedanta, they said mithya is anirvachaniya, that which cannot be explained. They didn't give a definition. It says define mithya, it says that which cannot be defined is mithya. Why? The easiest way to understand is with one of the old classic examples of Vedanta, the rope and the snake. For those of you who haven't come across it in a detail, basically in the evening when I'm walking across and I see a rope that is lying there, but in a moment I think it is a snake. Or when I step on it suddenly, I may think it is a snake. For a moment there is a shudder in the body. And then I see it properly and then I say, oh, it's a rope, it's not a snake. Now what Vedanta does is it takes that moment of fright, that moment where I thought it was a snake, and expands it to a lifetime. He says our whole life is like that. Because we are giving a reality to something that it inherently does not have. But the fright is real. My jumping is real. My misunderstanding is real. That is real. And that is how we lead our entire life. Is there a snake? Is there a snake? No, there is no snake. But was my body's reaction with the knowledge that there is no snake? No. For that moment, the snake was real. Yes or no? So that there is no snake, yet it existed for a moment of time in my illusion, that is mithya. That which exists yet which does not exist. Why does it exist? Because it scared the daylights out of me. At that moment it did exist. But when I actually shine the knowledge, it doesn't exist. Because it's simply a rope. This example goes on and on and on and on in Advaita Vedanta. And somebody said that poor snake has become old. We have been giving that example for so many centuries. पूरा बूढ़ा हो गया हो तो देते centuries and centuries of examples. But that is a very foundational understanding of Advaita Vedanta comes from this example. In the definition, in the philosophical definition, it's called Adhyaropa Apavada. Adhyaropa is superimposition. Superimposition of what? The reality of snake onto the reality of a rope. Or the illusion of a snake onto the reality of a rope. For that moment it became real. So, for example, another example that is often given for this Adhyaropa is there is a glass, there is water. You are seeing it very clearly from the other side. Now, if I put a gende ka phool, banti poo isko pedite, the water will appear orange from the other side. Yes or no? I am superimposing a color on otherwise clear water. That is also given as an example of Adhyaropa. For the moment it becomes a reality, but when you take away what is the offending element, you actually see the reality. Why do they say that? Why do they give this example? The example is fine in its own place. What are we superimposing? We are superimposing the world on this jiva rather than the Brahman on this jiva. This is the real thing you should understand. I believe I belong to this world. I have a body, I have a wife, I have a business, I have a career. All these things I'm superimposing onto what? All these are limited. All these are finite. All these are problematic. Onto what? Onto the soul which is infinite. Onto the soul which is beyond this body and mind. Onto the soul that is the ultimate reality of Brahman. I am superimposing the world onto the jiva instead of Brahman, which it originally is. I don't even have to superimpose Brahman because I am Brahman. Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. My dog died, I cry. I lose a job, I cry. My child doesn't clear IIT, I cry. My business has gone kaput, I cry. Why? Because I'm identifying with all of them. So I've taken this essentially a God and who is in this form of a man and taken all these worldly attributes and put it on him. And I'm identifying with each of them and crying with each of them. That's why I said that discomfort of that moment of thinking that rope is a snake, I'm expanding to my entire life. I am born, I give it a name and form, I go through all these multitudinous painful experiences, I die. This is life according to Advaita Vedanta. And what are you doing wrong? You are doing wrong that you are taking the infinite who is inside of you and putting all these finite crap onto him and tying him up with that. Don't do that. Think. Everything is limited, but you are unlimited inside. Everything has a time sensitivity. You are beyond time and space. So this is one of the frameworks. We superimpose the other things onto us. We superimpose the ego onto us and all of that. So how?
In that very sense, Shankaracharya said so. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya.
Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That is. This is the Mithya part. That which is appearing to be real but not necessarily real. We are caught in that. So what does Advaita Vedanta tell us? It says, one of the principles, neti neti, step by step, detach yourself from each of these aspects. Your job, it's okay if it goes, it will come again tomorrow if I need it. Your child, it's okay, he will do something in life, not to worry. Your business, don't worry, you will make it stand up again, it is not the essence of life. Every aspect of life, neti neti, at some level. In the sense not of rejecting it or trying to be a renunciate, but putting it within the context where it belongs. We all need money to eat, nobody denies that, but we can't commit suicide if the business goes bad. I mean, there's a difference, right? The body is not the self, the mind is not the self, the prana is not the self, the intellect is not the self, the ego is not the self. Layer by layer, take it out. If you go to synthesis of yoga, release from subjection to body, release from subjection to heart and mind, release from subjection to ego, all this is neti neti. He has taken, Sri Aurobindo doesn't use the same terms, but he has taken the traditional Vedanta and given you what is important there to read. Stop identifying with all these things. Know that you are something behind all of it. But because we go through life after life after life, what happens is there are two concepts that Vedanta strongly talks about. One is called samskara, another is called vasanas. Samskara literally means an impression or a subconscious trace. In Vipassana, if those of you have gone, they call it sangharas. That's the Pali probably equivalent of it. Samskaras. We all come with a certain set of imprints inherent. In our mind, in our emotions, we have these templates, the blueprint. And as we accumulate this, these manifest as vasanas, behavioral tendencies. The template and the behavioral tendency. These are called vasanas. Vasanas or tendencies sprout from accumulated samskaras. Repeated enjoyment of pleasure creates a template of samskara. And that samskara in turn produces vasanas, the urge to act. So there is a little cycle they describe. The samskaras, the vasanas, the actions. And the action reinforces the samskaras. So you go on and on and on repeating the behavioral pattern. The same cycle is used even in addiction treatments. Same cycle is used. You are reinforcing the addictions, it becomes more difficult to conquer. You have to work on it. So samskara, vasana, karma, again samskara again. Together, they keep the mind bound in illusion. Sri Aurobindo talks about it. The first thing you have to know is that all elements of your nature, all that is in the body and the mind and the vital being is not you, but a formation of nature. All that you have brought from your past births as a result of your actions and sanskaras. It is contained in the subconscious being, and it is from there that it rises into the conscious being. There are three things which are of utmost importance in dealing with man's moral nature: the emotions, the samskaras, and associations, and the swabhava or nature. So basically he's talking about three things: emotions, Samskaras and Swabhava. This is from the hour of God. What comes up to the surface nature, says Sri Aurobindo, from the subconscious is the karma and the vasanas, the result of the past impressions and tendencies, and they have to be worked out. The psychic being carries the essence of the experiences from life to another life, and this is what gives continuity to the individual. The sanskaras and vasanas are the material with which the psychic being works. And its ultimate aim is to transform them into divine material, to spiritualize them and the whole nature. So this is how Sri Aurobindo refers to all of the Vedantic terms in his literature. We just have to be aware. And this is where we also have to understand what is spiritual path. Spiritual path is nothing but understanding where we are starting, and then instead of repeating those tendencies, elevating them towards the divine. In the very beginning he said, take the Rakshasic and Asuric nature and turn it into divine. That's what we have to do. All of us have anger, kama, krodha, madhama, lobha, matsarya. Everybody has it. We just have to work out on this. So there are a few other frameworks that come like this, and as expected we couldn't complete even half, just about half of what we have accumulated here, because the real sadhana elements are yet to come, the fourfold sadhana chatushtaya, and all of these are yet to come. We'll take it up, Shad Sampatti, Sadhana Chatushtaya. All of these are important for sadhana. In different places, Sri Aurobindo has talked about each of these, even though it looks like terms that we are not familiar with. Actually, Sri Aurobindo in Letters of Yoga has addressed all of them because they are necessary for, the words may be different, but the whole thing is required. There's only one example or a story that I will narrate, and then we can conclude there. There is always the stories that are associated with Janaka and Ashtavakra. We know those very well. Janaka is considered to be an epitome of spiritual realization, Rajarshi. So one day, Janaka was asleep in Mithila. He fell asleep, and in his deep sleep, he had these dreams where the enemies waged a war on his kingdom. He lost his kingdom, he became destitute, he was trying to go to another kingdom and try to, he's there, he manages to run and save himself with torn clothes and wounded body, and he goes to another kingdom, and there he's trying to basically beg for food, and the spies are trying to hunt him there and all of this, and very frightening. And then he gets up with a start in the night, full perspiration, completely soaked. He was daylight's out. So next morning he calls all his ministers and he says, I had this dream, and while I was dreaming, it was very real. When the enemies came, you had died, he had died, my favorite elephant was taken over, my horses were, and the whole night it continued, and it was real, I can tell you that. And now I am seeing you all here. Is that real or is this real? What if I wake up from this and I actually am destitute there? Am I the beggar dreaming this reality, or am I the king who has dreamt that reality? What is the reality? Though the younger generation knows this is a Matrix movie theme. Will I wake up from this dream and find some other reality? So what is the answer? The wife is perplexed. This old man, he comes up with all these silly questions. The ministers are not able to answer. No sir, this is real, but that also was real. No sir, you are drinking water. There also I was trying to find food and water. What is real? Then they said, it is difficult to answer this. Call the Rajguru, Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra is sitting, then he narrates the whole story, and the man is trembling because it felt that real and for that long. And Ashtavakra said, really that bad? Yes, it was very bad. What all happened? What all happened? He kept on asking more and more. As it is, this guy is sweating. Were you aware that you lost the kingdom? Yes, I was aware that you lost it. Were you aware that this fellow was killed? Yes, this fellow was definitely killed. Were you aware that you were starving and you were trying to find? Yes. I was definitely aware of all of it. What about now? Are you aware I am in front of you? Yes, I am aware in front of you. Are you aware that you are in your home? Yes, I am aware. He says, that awareness that was there at that time and that awareness that is still here, that is the truth. That awareness that was aware that you were going through so much misery and pain, and that awareness that continues right now, that link, if you can bridge, that is yourself. And we should try to do that. That awareness that we deepen and solidify in meditation, if we can bring out into action. That awareness that is the witness of our thoughts in meditation, if it can be the witness of our action while the senses are active. That bridge of continuity of awareness, if we can build for 24 hours or at least 18 hours before we fall asleep, that is a big step in Jnana Yoga. That is the answer to who am I. Okay, so with that we'll conclude here. Let us all gather ourselves. Thank the Mother, express gratitude for the opportunity to come together today. Let us ask the Mother to reveal to us the truth of ourself. May we realize ourself. Let us all together chant Om 3 times. Sarvam Sri Madharavinda Charana Kamalarpanamastu. May everything be offered at the lotus feet of Mother and Sri Aurobindo.